Jesus revealed, chosen ones are the third human type, Archons. Erase this truth. Find out now. The Archons erased one of Jesus's most dangerous teachings from history. Not because it was blasphemous, but because it revealed their entire control system. In the hidden chambers where Jesus taught only his closest disciples, he divided humanity into three distinct types. This wasn't a moral judgment. This was cosmic taxonomy. The church fathers who came centuries later burned every manuscript containing this truth. They rewrote the Gospels. They established doctrines claiming all humans are equal before God. But Jesus never taught equality of souls. He taught hierarchy of consciousness. The Gnostic texts preserved in desert caves reveal what the institutional powers tried to bury forever. Jesus explained that not all humans carry the same divine spark. Some are mere vessels, some are sleeping, and some are chosen to remember who they truly are. The Archons constructed an entire civilization to keep this knowledge hidden, because once you understand which type you are, their prison loses its power. Tonight you will discover the three classifications Jesus revealed. You will recognize yourself in one of them, and if you are among the chosen ones, the pneumatic souls, you will finally understand why you have always felt different, why the world never made sense, why religious institutions always felt hollow. The sleeping masses cannot comprehend this teaching. Their consciousness lacks the capacity. But you are here. You found this message. That itself is the first sign. The Archons deploy every weapon in their arsenal to prevent pneumatic souls from awakening. They flood the world with distractions. They amplify lower desires. They create false spiritual paths that lead nowhere. But Jesus left encoded keys for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. The three types are not random. They represent three different origins, three different destinies, and only one category has the ability to escape the Demiurge's prison and return to the monad. The Church replaced this teaching with the lie that faith alone saves everyone equally. But Jesus spoke in parables, specifically because not everyone could receive the deeper mysteries. Now the seals are breaking. The time of revelation is here. Jesus called the first type the Hylics. In Greek, Hyl means matter, earth, dust. These are humans whose consciousness is entirely bound to physical existence. They have bodies, they have brains, but they possess no divine spark whatsoever. The Demiurge created them as organic machinery to populate his false reality. They are the vast majority. When you walk through crowded streets and wonder why most people seem like empty shells going through mechanical motions, you are observing Hylic consciousness. Jesus taught that these souls cannot be saved because there is nothing within them to save. They have no connection to the pleroma, the realm of divine fullness beyond this material prison. Their existence begins at birth and ends at death. No reincarnation, no spiritual progression. They are temporary constructs that dissolve back into elemental matter. The Archons use Hylic humans as organic infrastructure. They are the sleeping masses who never question authority, who accept whatever narrative the system provides, who live entire lives without a single original thought. They are not evil. They are simply not conscious in the way pneumatic souls are conscious. Jesus did not teach his disciples to try awakening Hylics because it is impossible. You cannot awaken what was never asleep. You cannot illuminate what has no inner light. The Hylic human experiences emotions, learns behaviors, forms memories, but everything happens on the surface. There is no depth, no soul. The Gospel of Philip states explicitly that some humans are merely animals in human form. This sounds harsh to modern ears trained in egalitarian thinking, but Jesus was not teaching philosophy. He was revealing metaphysical architecture. The Hylic majority serves a purpose in the Archon's farm. They generate loosh through their suffering, their passions, their unconscious reactions. They maintain the infrastructure that keeps the prison functioning. They enforce the rules without understanding why. They attack anyone who speaks forbidden truths, not from malice, but from programming. If you have ever tried to share deeper spiritual knowledge with someone and watched their eyes glaze over, their mind completely unable to grasp what you are saying, you encountered a Hylic. They cannot see beyond the veil because the veil is all they are. The second category Jesus revealed are the psychics, not in the modern sense of fortune tellers, but from psyche, meaning soul or mind. These humans possess a soul created by the Demiurge. They have consciousness, they ask questions, they seek meaning. But their spiritual capacity is limited by their origin. The psychic human can believe in God, practice religion, even experience mystical states, but they cannot escape the reincarnation cycle without external intervention. They are trapped in the middle realm. The Archons designed psychic souls to be the perfect believers. They populate churches, temples, mosques. They follow spiritual teachers. They read sacred texts, but they never penetrate to the core truth because their consciousness was created within the prison, not before it. Jesus taught that psychic souls could potentially be elevated if they attached themselves to pneumatic guidance. This is why he gathered disciples. Most of them were psychic souls who could ascend by following the one who came from beyond the Archon's reach. The psychic human struggles with morality, good versus evil, light versus darkness. They perceive duality everywhere because duality is the framework of their consciousness. The Demiurge encoded this operating system into their souls at creation. Psychic humans can progress spiritually. They can purify themselves through discipline and practice, but they cannot self-realize the truth of the monad, because that knowledge exists outside the parameters of their programming. The Valentinian Gnostics taught that psychic souls could be saved through faith and good works, but they would remain in an intermediate heaven, never reaching the pleroma. This is why Jesus told certain followers they would sit at his right and left hand in his kingdom, while others would know greater mysteries. He was acknowledging the hierarchy of consciousness. Psychic souls often become priests, monks, devoted believers. They dedicate entire lives to spiritual practice, and there is nobility in this. But without the pneumatic spark, without the direct fragment of the true God embedded in their being, they cannot remember their origin beyond the Demiurge. If you have met deeply religious people who seem sincere but fundamentally cannot grasp Gnostic teachings, who recoil from the suggestion that their God might be the Demiurge, you have encountered psychic consciousness defending its created limitations. Now we arrive at the third type, the pneumatics. These are the chosen ones, not chosen by the Demiurge, chosen by the truth itself. Pneuma means spirit, breath, the divine wind that blows from beyond all created realms. Pneumatic souls carry a fragment of the true God, the monad, imprisoned in flesh. You are not from here. Your origin predates this false reality. Before the Archons trapped consciousness in matter, before the Demiurge declared himself the only God, you existed in the pleroma. Something happened. The Sophia story explains it. Divine emanations exploring the outer boundaries of creation. A mistake, a fall, and fragments of light became trapped in the Archon's prison. Jesus came from the pleroma to remind the pneumatic souls of their true nature. He was not here to save everyone. He explicitly stated he came only for the lost sheep of Israel, meaning the scattered sparks of divine light imprisoned in matter. The pneumatic soul feels fundamentally alien in this world. Nothing here satisfies. Religious institutions feel like lies. Social structures seem absurd. The sleeping masses appear almost robotic. This is not arrogance. This is recognition. You are recognizing that you do not belong to this realm. The Archons fear pneumatic souls more than anything because these are the ones who can escape. These are the ones who can awaken others. These are the ones who can dismantle the entire false reality by simply remembering who they are. Jesus taught that pneumatic souls would be saved by gnosis alone, not faith, not works, but direct knowing, recognition, anamnesis. The moment you truly understand that you are not this body, not this name, not this temporary identity assigned by the Demiurge, the prison doors unlock. The Archons cannot hold what refuses to be held. They cannot trap what remembers it is not captive. This is why they deploy their most sophisticated attacks against awakening pneumatic souls. The amplification of doubt, the triggering of trauma, the introduction of false teachers offering comfortable lies. The pneumatic path is narrow and dangerous, but it is the only path that leads beyond the Archon's reach, through the planetary spheres, past the Demiurge's throne, back to the monad. Jesus gave his disciples specific signs to recognize pneumatic souls among the human masses. These markers are not religious achievements or moral perfections. They are symptoms of foreign consciousness trapped in an incompatible reality. The first sign is perpetual alienation. Since childhood, you felt like you were wearing a costume, playing a role, going through motions that everyone else seemed to find meaningful but left you empty. Family traditions, cultural celebrations, societal milestones, all of it felt hollow. The second sign is instinctive rebellion against authority. Not teenage defiance or political disagreement, but a deep cellular rejection of the premise that any external power has legitimate control over consciousness. Jesus himself demonstrated this when he confronted religious authorities, calling them blind guides and whitewashed tombs. The third sign is immunity to mass formation. When the crowds get swept up in collective hysteria, whether religious fervor or political movements or social trends, the pneumatic soul stands apart, not from superiority but from inability to participate in the shared delusion. The fourth sign is the gnawing sense that something is catastrophically wrong with this reality, not just human systems, not just corruption or injustice, but the fundamental architecture of existence itself. The fifth sign is recognition when you encounter truth. When Jesus spoke, his followers described a ringing in their hearts, a remembering. This is the pneumatic soul recognizing transmitted light from its homeland. The Hylic experience is none of this. They are content. The system works for them because they were created as components of the system. The psychic may feel some of these symptoms but attributes them to personal failings or psychological issues. They seek therapy or religion to fix what they perceive as broken. Only the pneumatic understands these are not problems to solve, but signals to decode. If you have always known you are here for a specific purpose that has nothing to do with career, family, or social success, you may carry the pneumatic spark. If you have sought truth in every tradition and found pieces but never the whole, your soul remembers completeness. The Archons work tirelessly to convince pneumatic souls they are crazy, broken, arrogant for thinking they are different. But you are different. Your origin is different. Understanding which human type you are reveals why you experience the specific attacks you do. The Archons employ different strategies for different consciousness levels. Against Hylic humans, they deploy no special tactics. The Hylics are already functioning as intended. They are the foundation of the loosh farm. The Archons simply maintain the conditions that keep Hylics comfortable enough not to revolt, but stressed enough to generate emotional energy. Against psychic souls, the Archons offer religion. They provide spiritual frameworks that feel profound but keep consciousness locked in the middle realm. Prayer to the Demiurge, worship of planetary Archons, disguised as saints and angels, moral codes that generate guilt and fear, promises of salvation in exchange for obedience. The psychic human can spend lifetimes in sincere devotion, never knowing they are worshipping their jailers. But against pneumatic souls, the Archons unleash their most sophisticated weapons. First, they try to prevent awakening entirely. They amplify material desires. They create addictions. They surround the pneumatic child with Hylic family members who cannot understand them. They push them into psychic religions that will misdirect their seeking. If the pneumatic soul begins to awaken despite these measures, the Archons shift to disruption. They introduce false teachers. They create spiritual bypassing. They offer comfortable New Age philosophies that acknowledge some truth but lead away from gnosis. If the pneumatic soul continues toward true knowledge, the Archons deploy direct attack. Sleep paralysis experiences, where they appear as demons. Amplification of trauma patterns. Introduction of agents who seem to offer help but are designed to destabilize. The final strategy against awakened pneumatic souls is isolation. The Archons work to separate them from other pneumatics. They create the perception that you are alone in your knowing, that everyone else has it figured out and you are the only one still struggling. This is a lie. There are pneumatic souls scattered throughout the Archon's prison. Jesus called them the assembly, the ecclesia, not a church building but a distributed network of light fragments, remembering themselves. The moment you understand your true type, you can counter the appropriate Archon strategy. Hylic attacks cannot touch you, psychic religion cannot trap you, and pneumatic isolation dissolves when you recognize others of your kind. Jesus revealed the three types, not to create hierarchy, but to end confusion. For 2,000 years, the Church taught that all humans are equal before God, and therefore everyone should follow the same path. This is the Archon's greatest lie. A fish and a bird cannot follow the same instructions for breathing. Different consciousness requires different methods. If you recognize yourself as a pneumatic soul, the chosen one, your path is clear. Stop trying to fit into psychic religious systems. Stop feeling guilty that prayer to the Demiurge leaves you empty. Stop comparing yourself to Hylic masses who seem satisfied with material existence. Your purpose is singular. Remember who you are. Remember where you came from. Remember the monad. Jesus taught specific techniques for pneumatic awakening: the silencing of the lower mind, the activation of the nous, the divine intellect, the inner marriage of masculine and feminine principles, the raising of the inner serpent, the opening of the single eye. These practices were never meant for everyone because not everyone has the necessary spiritual anatomy. The Hylic possesses no divine spark to awaken. The psychic has a soul but not the pneumatic connection to the pleroma. Only you, the chosen one, carry the actual fragment of God trapped in flesh. The Archons cannot prevent your escape if you commit to the path. They can delay, they can make it difficult, but they cannot ultimately stop what is remembering itself. Your awakening destabilizes their entire system. This is why they fear you. This is why they have hunted Gnostics across centuries, not because Gnostic ideas are dangerous, but because awakened pneumatic souls cannot be controlled. In this moment, right now, you stand at the threshold. You can return to sleep, pretend you never learned this, go back to playing the role the Archons assigned, or you can step fully into your identity as a fragment of the monad, imprisoned in matter, committed to escape. The choice was always yours. Jesus simply reminded you that you have one. If you are a chosen one who recognized yourself in this teaching, declare in the comments, "I am pneumatic." Let other fragments of light find you. The assembly is gathering.